Well, the title is actually not clickbait. I really bought Noel Gallagher's Pedalboard, and I still can't believe it. Ever since I attended my first High Flying Birds gig, which was in 2015, I was kind of obsessed with his guitar tone, and now being the owner of one of his pedal boards he used actually during the High Flying Birds tour, as well as the Chasing Yesterday tour, is just beyond my mind. And let's do basically a short rig rundown of my equipment I have. It's very similar to Noel's, and yeah, so I'm always aiming for this Chasing Yesterday tour tone, right? Because that's just, I'm obsessed with that guitar sound, right? And the main ingredient to that, of course, when we have a look at certain images of his amps, the two main parts of his sound regarding amplifiers were his Hiwatt Custom 100 vertical combo, as well as the Fender Blues Junior. And basically that's the same as I have here. I don't have a Hiwatt Custom 100 vertical stack because that would be too mad, right? I do have a Hiwatt Custom 50, and it's dialed to the exact same settings as Noel's Hiwatt Custom 100 during those tours. And I do also have a Fender Blues Junior, which also has the same settings dialed in as Noel used during I guess during all of his tours where he used the Fender Blues Junior. There are some pictures online where you really get a good idea of what his Blues Junior settings are actually. So yeah, let's do a short rig rundown on my amplifiers, and then we'll deep dive into the board, and let's go ahead. Okay, so let's start with the Hiwatt. I'm plugged into the normal channel, hence the bright volume here is turned all the way down. I don't need that. The normal volume, yeah, it's a bit more than 12 o'clock here. All the EQ is around noon, and the master volume is around 11 o'clock, so to say. So that's the Hiwatt. Moving to the Blues Junior, we have the volume here at 3, treble is at 12. Yes, those things go to 12. We have the bass at around noon, middle also at 12, the master is also at 12, and the reverb, that's completely off, because I'm getting the reverb out of something else. Fat switch is not engaged. Finally, I'm not running the big speakers here, because actually they would be too mad for my small flat here in Vienna, and I think the police would be right at my doorstep if I would turn them up full. So that's why I'm going with the Universal Audio aux, and they're just here to simulate the speaker and actually the mics, and they will. So both signals from both aux boxes are fed to a small Mackie mixer, and with this mixer I can basically blend two signals from the two amplifiers. So if I have the feeling I need more of the Blues Junior, I turn that up more than the Hiwatt, and yeah. But basically I think I have all of them set to 12 o'clock in terms of the dials, and yeah, I get 50% Hiwatt, 50% Blues Junior. Moving along to the pedalboard itself, well, it's quite huge. It's unreasonably huge, and it's really a pain in the ass to carry it around. But I have to say it's built like a tank, right? This thing needed to endure 2 world tours, maybe 3, I don't know. And pedal-wise, so all the pedals are actually mine, they're not Noel's. I just got the board. Let's start from left to right, and the first button here is the tuner. Yeah, and this is basically a mute switch for everything. The tuner, I have a Korg pitch black right there. The tuner actually is constantly being fed from the signal. Yeah, so the tuner is constantly engaged. Yeah, what the tuner switch does here, the button, is just it mutes all the signal going out from the board. That's what that does. Next loop over is trem. Yeah, this is just a tremolo. I have a Boss TR2 hooked up there. Then HM Echo. Noel used the Empress Echo system, but since I have a timeline on there, I don't really need two delay systems, and the timeline has more capabilities than I would ever use. So I decided to go with the Mobius. That's hooked up to this loop. Then we have Sun Slap. This is currently the empty loop here. Sun Slap, I will hook up maybe a Keeley Memphis Sun, hence the name Sun Slap. I'll use that on the tour as well. Or the 30 milliseconds from Keeley. I haven't quite decided, but I think I'll order next week. And by far the most important loop is actually the Echo Drive, because that's a huge part of Noel's sound. This is of course hooked up to the famous SIB Echo Drive, which is right there. Moving up a row, we have a treble boost loop, which actually corresponds to the Boss Equalizer G7 pedal that's on the other side of the board. Yeah, it does what it says. It just boosts the highs a bit, the high frequencies, to make up for some difference between humbuckers and single coils. Next up, this is really interesting. So all those 4 buttons that say high watt A to D, they're actually amp switches, right? So this board is capable of feeding signal to 4 different amplifiers. I only hooked up 2 because I only have 2 here and 2 aux boxes and so on. So actually high watt A corresponds to my high watt Custom 50, and high watt B is then the Fender Blues Junior. I don't want to change any labels, because the labels were actually done by Noel's Guitar Tech, and I just don't want to mess them up. Moving on to the right side of the board. First of all, we have a little status indicator there that monitors the signals going into the board as well as the signals going out from the board. Next loop over will be the solo button, this one, which corresponds to the fuzz pedal. I have a Beatronics Octahive pedal there. I'm still waiting for shipment on my Cornish Soft Sustain 2, as Noel has. And this is also hooked up to the DD3 pedal, as with Noel. So he always had his Cornish SS2 pedal directly hooked up to the DD3, which makes up for a great solo sound. Next over is the timeline. This is just the Strymon timeline pedal, phenomenal delay pedal. Won't go anywhere without it, actually. Next loop over is the Page, which is the Kingsley Page Tube Boost, set to Noel settings, which I have nicked from that Pedal Shows video. And yeah, that's the Tube Boost. And lastly, we have a compressor, which is linked to the Keeley Compressor Plus. Phenomenal compressor, just amazing. Now let's have a look at the I/O plate, which I'm going to show you here, picture of it. This is also really interesting. I have no idea what the TV out or input does. To be honest, I just don't know. But I had a bit of email conversation back and forth with Mike Hill Services, and they talked me through the ins and outs of the board. You have 2 inputs, you have 4 outputs, right? 4 outputs can go to 4 different amplifiers, as I've said before. You have a really big, chunky, lockable power source, power cable, which is a Nutric power cable. And also you had this one other output, or this one other connection there on the upper side there. And this was actually a link to a custom device that Mike Hill built for Noel's Guitar Tech that allowed him to remotely mute the signal. I think this was used during the breaks between the songs when Noel kind of forgot to step onto the tuner, mute all the signal. His Guitar Tech could do that remotely, which is also really interesting. All right. Next up, without further ado, I would like to demonstrate some sounds. Alright, you guys, so that was my playthrough Noel Gallagher's pedalboard. Tour used pedalboard, yeah. What can I say? Sounds just amazing. So if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe. It's for free, and you're really supporting the channel here. Yeah, stay tuned for more content. You will hear this board in all my upcoming videos. This is my main board now. I'll actually use it. I'm not a collector. I intend to really play this thing. Yeah, and it's amazing. What can I say? So, cheers, and see you in a bit.